think I would welcome the ACLU to do that. I would like to go back.
The chances that they would do that is probably very slim.
I think the chances for them to do it are very slim because they know they can read many tickle. You know, your house is divided and given to another. So they see that handwriting on the wall, and I think they can interpret it just like most observers of the Supreme Court are viewing how the Supreme Court would handle another Ten Commandments case.
Yeah, I know that you and I share this same conviction that the bottom line is just a great hostility towards anything Christian in the public square. Beyond that, there are some out there who do believe in this whole separation of church and state stuff, that somehow that is in our Constitution. And there is, from that perspective, an emotional response from individuals out there who say someone might be offended, and that offense would amount to a violation of the Establishment Clause or what have you. How do you think this kind of decision will impact that type of individual? In other words, is this going to be educational in our culture as well as just from the legal perspective?
Oh, I think it is very educational because, you know, there's a proverb in the book of Proverbs that says, "He who states his case first seems right until another comes forward and challenges him." Well, when the ACLU shouts separation of church and state, hold up this case and say, well, that's not what the court said. They said that the Ten Commandments is constitutional. In fact, in the previous ruling from the Court of Appeals against the ACLU, the court actually said this in our favor in another Ten Commandments case. This is one of the 4 cases. The ACLU constantly talks about separation of church and state, but that phrase the court says is not in the Constitution. And the court actually says it in black and white in a Ten Commandments case, the case that Liberty Counsel defended. So I think this is a great educational opportunity to shoot down the myth of separation of church and state, which the ACLU wants people to understand essentially means that you can't have Christianity in public, and that's not true.
Matt, it is always great having you on the program. I just thank you for your work and that of Liberty Counsel, standing in the gap from a legal perspective for all of us. This is another great victory for all of America and for Liberty Counsel. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, Jody, they can call us at 1-800-671-1776. That's 800-671-1776, or they can visit us on the website at lc.org. That's lc.org.
Thank you, my friend, for being on the program and for all you do. God bless you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today on the Jody High Show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back straight ahead.
90.9 and 88.5. A contemporary perspective of our historical liberties, the key men and women who helped found them. Here's Jody Heiss with today's Freedom Moment.
Any worthwhile campaign should have not only a plan A, but a plan B, C, D, and so forth, because inevitably something can go wrong. That principle certainly applies likewise to the culture war. Paul Revere was a man who knew that things could go wrong. On April 18, 1775, he learned that the British were ready for war. We all remember the story of how he hung the 2 lanterns in the tower of the Christ Church to warn the revolutionaries. What you may not realize, though, is that Paul Revere also had a plan B and a plan C. A good friend of Paul Revere's, William Dawes, had been instructed to sound the alarm by land. In addition to that, Paul himself had decided to leave Boston, and with the help of a couple of friends, likewise chose himself to sound the alarm by land. Unfortunately, on the way, Paul Revere was captured by the British. He, personally, was never able to sound the alarm, but because he had a plan B and a plan C, the American Revolution continued, and the British suffered great losses. The culture war of today cannot be won on a single front. We must have plan Bs and Cs. The principles of morality and values that we hold so dear must be embraced personally, but they must extend from there to our families, our communities, our local governments, state, federal government, courts, and so forth. When dealing with culture, don't forget the big picture. Keep these thoughts and these principles in mind as together we continue to engage and ultimately reintroduce Judeo-Christian morality to America.
This has been today's Freedom Moment with Dr. Jody Heiss. For more information, log on to jodyheiss.com. That's JODYHICE.com.
participating, getting informed, and getting involved in America's culture crisis. Americans should not be forced, bottom line, we should not be forced to abandon our religious heritage for the purpose of appeasing someone else's political agenda. That's what so many of these attacks against the Ten Commandment.
You were there? Did I just turn you on, or have you been on all the time? Well, hello. I'm on the side of the road again. On the road again. Maybe I should turn this off in case you've been on for a long time. Oh well, what the heck. No, I will.